What is up, everybody, and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about ultra marathon gear on a budget. Now, you can probably just take the clothes that you have on your back, whatever shoes you have, grab a bottle of water, climb up a mountain, and then bomb down, and you'll be perfectly fine. But if you're a gearhead like me and a little cheap, this might be the perfect video for you. Now, all this gear that you see here is everything that I used on my 100K and my 100 miler, the Grindstone 100. So I used all this during training, leading up, and then during the race also. You want to make sure that you are training with the gear that you're going to be running with, just because there are so many little things that could go wrong. If you don't know how some of the stuff that you're eating actually affects your body, you could run into a lot of problems. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video, but let's start off with shoes. So I used the Merrell trail gloves during all my training. I used the 3s and the 4s during my training and during the actual ultra marathon. This was probably a mistake. I needed a little bit more cushioning, but I'll probably talk about that in a later video. These are the Merrell Trail Gloves 4. Once again, these are $89.90. So they're a little bit cheaper than most shoes. Most shoes will probably run you around $120. But one big thing, or one good tip about shoes, is always buy the model just after the current one. So you always get the previous model. That's going to save you around $30 to $40 just by that. One other thing that is an extreme benefit of buying the older model is they're tested. There'll be hundreds of YouTube videos on these shoes. There'll be thousands upon thousands of written articles and reviews of the shoes, so you really know how they performed on races for different type of people, different weight, different height, different sexes, whatever it is, they're going to have reviews on them because there's so many enthusiasts, especially for trail running shoes and running shoes, that you can do really good research on these older models. So not only are you going to save money, but you'll have some good knowledge going into buying a brand new pair of shoes. If you're going to drop some money on them, might as well do your research. So once again, the Merrell Trail Gloves, $89.90. You could probably get them now for around $79. Pretty good shoes. Now, going to one of the most expensive things that you're probably going to buy during your ultra marathon training is a GPS watch. Now, I didn't even put this into the grand total just because it's not necessary. This is the Garmin 935. This is a great little watch. It's really light. It tracks GPS. It has 24 hours of GPS tracking. So this will get you pretty much everything you need during your ultra marathon running. Once again, I didn't add this to the actual breakdown just because you don't need it. For the first year of my training and running, I used this bad boy. This will get you almost everything this does, or it will do more than this. So most of the races now are actually requiring you to carry a phone just because of safety purposes. So if you run into any problems, you can call for help, or they can track you through your GPS. So if you have Strava app or any other apps, whatever you like, you can have your GPS tracking. You can sync heart rate monitors or whatever other devices you have. You'll have your music, you'll have your podcast, and you'll have that get out of jail free card if you do get lost. So if you are really budget conscious, just use your cell phone. It's perfect. So moving on, we are going to go to probably one of the most tricky things for budgeting is your trekking poles. I had no idea how much these things were. When I was looking at the brand names, the Black Diamonds, they're made out of carbon fiber, so they're extremely expensive. These are the high stream gear foldable hiking and trekking poles. As you can tell by the name and how long it is, this is an Amazon special. So these were $44.90. You get 2 of them, and they do exactly what the Black Diamond trekking poles do. They're a little bit heavier, but not by much. It's barely even noticeable. Or at least I don't notice. They fold just like the higher end ones, and they have all the attachments that you can add to the bottom. The strapping, it works just the same. You can fold them up and put them in your bag. When I don't want to carry them anymore, I just toss them in my bag and I'm good to go. But this is definitely one thing that I would recommend buying if you are budget conscious. So typically those Black Diamonds or other brands only come with one trekking pole. So it's $115 and you only get one of them. These are two, come in a pack of two, and they're $44, $45. You end up saving, $100 or so, $150. It's absolutely ridiculous, but this is definitely one thing that will help you save some money, is these trekking poles. Going on to the headlamp, I paid a little bit more than I'm used to for this headlamp, just because I wanted to make sure that I could see where I was going. I knew I was going to be running in the dark for a long time, but I'm usually using some cheap Coleman headlamps. They're usually around $15 to $20. This one is $39.95. It's the Black Diamond Spot 350 headlamp. It did everything I needed. Usually want to stay around 350. People sometimes want you to have a little bit higher wattage, I guess. Wattage. I think it's wattage. But no, looms. Oh my God, not wattage. So looms. So 350 looms. I think usually people recommend 500, but when it's so dark, especially in the woods, it's so dark that it doesn't really matter. 350 will get you where you need to go. You'll be able to see everything you need to see. This served me well. It's really small and light. You can just throw it in your bag when you don't need it. So definitely getting a good headlamp is a good purchase, even for your training runs. I almost got hit by so many cars before I started using a headlamp at night. Tripping, everything. Headlamps are really good to do, especially when you have kids and you have to run either early in the morning or at night. So moving on, one of the other big ticket items is going to be your hydration pack. Now, I spent a little bit more on this hydration pack because I really like bags for some reason. I have a bunch of backpacks all throughout my house, and my wife can attest that she gets sick of how many bags and carrying devices I have. I have no idea why I like it so much, but I spent a little bit more for this. This is the Salomon Agile 6, and it is a great pack. It's very light, has everything you need. It's got 2 pockets for Soft Flask or whatever you want to throw in these. It's got a big old pocket where you can put your cold weather gear or your wind gear. During my 100-miler, I had extra food in there, and then I had a wet weather jacket and a wet weather bottom. So that can fit at least 3 pieces of clothing in there. And then you have a top secure pouch, or if you want to put like maps or anything like that in here. There's an additional spot for a hydration bladder or extra storage. It's got the clip for the Israeli style hydration bladders, and that can hold quite a large bladder. I usually use the bladders for just regular water, and then I use the Soft Flask for any tailwind or sports drinks that I actually have. So moving to the Soft Flask, this is, of course, as you can tell by the name, another Amazon special. These come in a pack of 2, and they are $16.99. So I think the Salomon ones, I'm pretty sure the Salomon ones are around $30, $25 to $30 just for one. So this Amazon special, you get 2 for $16.99. Run into no problems. You usually want to switch them out every once in a while, every couple months or so, just because this tip gets dirty. You can clean in there, but they get micro scratches and mold starts forming in there. So I try to switch them out every maybe 6 months or so. But these will do you good if you're using Tailwind or any sports and nutrition drinks. It's kind of nice to have just regular water in your bladder or a different one of these, and then have this only for that sugary drinks, just because mold likes to grow due to sugar. Moving on to the body glide. Now, this is something I think is essential for a 100-miler. I probably should have used this a little bit more. I definitely should have reapplied this maybe around a couple times in 30, 50, 70 miles because I was hurting on that 100-miler. This is a small little stick. This small little stick is about $15 and I usually have two. One will always have a little poop emoji on the top because I only use that one for the booty. And I don't know if it's just me, but there is a problem in ultra running with the rubbing of skin where you get intense chafing and you want a separate stick for your booty and the rest for your body and your thighs and everything like that. So definitely have a couple sticks of these. If you only have one and you're a monster and you just want to put it all over your body, go ahead. They're only about 15 bucks, but it's definitely a lifesaver. Onto nutrition. These are the GU gels. These are one of my favorite little gels that I use during running. I think you get about 25 of these for $35.80. They're 100 calories each. Some of them have caffeine and a different assortment of electrolytes, but they're super easy to use. You just rip off the top, suck it down, and then throw it in your pouch and you're good to go. One thing about these gels is you have to make sure that you train with them. You do your long runs, you do regular runs, and you see how these affect your body. These might be okay for me, but it might hit your stomach wrong or doesn't agree with you, and then you're just hiding behind bushes. You're running and then hiding behind bushes again, and we all know what that means. So definitely with all your food, make sure you know how your body's going to react to it. There's these gels, there's gummies, there's rice balls, there's hard food, fruit. A lot of people will use fruit and stuff like that. So make sure you're trying a bunch of different gels and food to fuel your actual run before you get to your 100-miler. So to wrap up, all this stuff is about $354.49. That's excluding the watch, just because, as we said, we don't really need it. During my 100-miler, it actually ran out of batteries, so I just ended up using my phone anyways. So if you're really budget conscious, just don't even worry about a watch because it'll probably die anyways, unless you get some of the more expensive ones that are around $499, $500. So you can get everything you need for an ultra marathon, all the creature comforts that you need for an ultra marathon for under $400. Now, I'm a gearhead and I love all this little gear. I love researching and trying new things and seeing what actually optimizes my running and helps me out in certain situations. But what really, really matters is that you're going out there and adventuring. If you don't have something, it doesn't matter. Just figure it out, adapt, overcome, and then get out there and adventure. Push yourself to the limit, get out there, light a fire under your ass, and put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Because in those uncomfortable situations, you really figure out who you are and what you need to work on. It's only through these terrible times, these uncomfortable situations, where we're actually going to grow. So get out there, kick some ass, let's do it!